This doesn't seem to be working.
What do you not hear?
No, it's. I just want to turn it down a little bit.
Turn what down? This is the bass.
Slap it to bass.
This is the bass. Are you trying to turn yourself down?
Yeah.
Let me try it. Let me see how loud it is.
To the Stone Age.
It's gonna be like some kid out there. What is a turbo
They better start learning.
graphics?
No,
Why? Because they're coming back, Ben?
16.
There was the Konami, who now owns the PC Engine TurboGrafx, did register it recently. The thought that they might do a mini. What?
I think.
You're so adorable.
What?
They better learn what the Stone Age
Ben,
is.
you're gonna...
Me. Ah.
Never gonna get it, never gonna get it, never gonna get it, never gonna get it. Wow, 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 wow.
I am so sorry.
Come on, it's the great opening.
I am Player 1 and my name is Damien. Welcome to another Retro Game Night. I am joined with Player 2. His name is Kyle.
Yo!
Player 3. His name is Ben. And Player 4 tonight is Josh.
Forget me not.
And we are here to chat everything, all about things in retro gaming. And sometimes we sneak in some new stuff too. So how my boys doing tonight?
Oh, so ready for this.
Yeah?
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Got some goodies all stored up.
Yeah.
It's inappropriate.
Yeah, goodies.
Inappropriate.
So, you guys good tonight?
Yeah.
Good.
Like I said.
You know, the last recording we did pretty good. We got several hits. People, I'm sure, are digging this retro gaming subject. We are trying to appreciate all things in retro gaming, like as I mentioned. And the way that this started was we started playing games that we wanted to beat that we never could beat when we were younger. And we go and revisit it now in our adult age. And we would take turns, and it became a nice group of us going back and forth to beat it. And then I thought maybe we should share this with the rest of the world.
Yeah, we've been doing this for a while. Looking back over the games that we've gone over, because I kept a list of everything that we beat. And I mean, I think we started in early 2017 with this. So
Wow,
we've been going
been that long.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think our first one was what you did when we first started it with just the gaming for Sonic 1. And that was May of 2017, so middle of that. So yeah, we've been doing this for a while.
Been a while. Yeah. So now we get to capture that
Nostalgia
with you guys, and hopefully we do kind of a good job. We're not
do it justice.
We're not professionals, but we try.
Speak for yourself. No, I'm just kidding.
Just did.
Look it up in the book.
So, I like your shirt today.
Thank you.
Kyle is wearing Kyle, not Ben. Kyle is wearing Super Mario 85 with a.
There's that many?
Little.
There is over 70 games. There's a lot of games of Mario and Luigi.
That's not counting the clones and hacks. And,
exactly.
So, yeah, there is 85 Super Mario Brothers. 85.
85 meaning 1985.
I'd adjust the part.
1985.
I like Mario's grin. He looks really happy.
Yeah, he likes to fake his emotions.
Technically, that's not a grin. That's what would that be technically?
It's over emoting being happy
because a grin.
Because he doesn't know what it is.
A grin is more with teeth. There needs to be more teeth.
It's more like he's saying, "Hey."
Yeah.
It needs.
Hey, it's me, Mario.
Yeah, he's looking at you, going, "Hey, I'm about to jump on your head."
Cowbell.
Yeah,
And
he's,
what dog?
He is one to be a sociopath. Actually, I think it's a psychopath. If you really think about it.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it. In all of the Mario games, what does he do? He jumps around, kills a bunch of Goombas who are people who are refugees from the original Mushroom Kingdom, and jumps on their heads
People in turtle outfits.
and smashes them and kills them.
Making turtle soup.
Because they're possessed, like zombies or something.
No, they're just trying to get back into their kingdom that they were kicked out of, and because of all the toads. And what happened was with Bowser, he's always trying to get back into the kingdom or actually start a family with Peach. That's why he always is kidnapping her. And so Mario tries to go rescue him, but what Bowser has done is they casted a spell over all the toads in the Mushroom Kingdom and turned them into the bricks and all the question marks and all the obstacles that you're going through. So realistically, every time you break a brick block in the game, you're killing a toad. You're killing the people who you're trying to get.
And how would you know all this, Kyle, by the way?
Seriously.
No. There's a YouTube channel that I like to go to a lot of people. If you want a bigger explanation into a lot of it, Matt Patton, the Game Theory channel, goes into... That's his thing. He overthinks video games.
Well, if it's on YouTube, then it must be true.
Well, that's why it's called a game theory. He puts out the theory. He finds in,
More of a hypothesis. Right?
Yeah.
But I mean, he goes by everything that we
It's canon.
see in instruction booklets,
In the game itself.
fandom like art or comic books, things like that. I'm sure he compiles all that.
Yeah, he does. He goes into the Nintendo Power, where they've done the comics in the back, and sometimes pulls from that, even though that's not technically canon. Nintendo has published it in their magazine, so that stuff you take it with a grain of salt.
I'm sure he would find some discrepancies though, because I'm sure
Yeah.
there's stuff they wrote that they didn't plan to make a humongous timeline. It's just kind of like they, were making games, right?
Well, it kind of seems like they did a little bit.
They did.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, it's kind of like Metroid. I think they refer to him. They refer to Samus as a he. I think in the instruction book. if
Yes, I do remember that.
So it's
And then later changed their mind. Now I wonder
well,
if it was
even though it was in the game.
it was in the game where she
was a she.
where it was a she, but the instruction booklet referred as a he. Maybe it was either throw you off
Typo.
or it was a typo.
And with the armor, you wouldn't know unless you got that special bonus at the end.
Yeah.
Well, he has done a video that has given some different canon heights to the characters, where we can actually find out where, like, he goes into what Princess Peach's canon height is, or Samus's height. And with that, we can look into the other characters of the game and find out what their heights are. Some of them differ a little bit, like if you actually did it pixel to pixel in the original Mario, not for the Game Boy, but for the NES, he's like 4'8", but Nintendo's come out with his canon height of 5'1".
It's a me, shorty.
So, I mean, with limitations of pixels and stuff, they can only do so much. Probably with those, to not make him 5'1", they had to keep him 4'8". But what's actually kind of funny with that, he's as tall as he is wide with the pixels and all that, the way it works.
How much does he weigh?
Well, that goes into a whole different thing that in game theory...
How much pasta he had before and after saving the princess and entering or leaving the Mushroom Kingdom.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very
It
complicated.
fluctuates from the beginning of the adventure to the end of the adventure because he might need to do his own business.
And how many mushrooms
Super
he's
Mario
been
Karts.
eating. and-
But-
How many one-ups he has.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But in one of the offshoots of game theory, it's still part of the game theory channel, is this other guy named Austin goes into the actual science of video games, like aerodynamics of Mario and how he flies. But they had to find his weight for that, and so he was able to use Super Mario Sunshine and the Flood to be able to calculate with using rocket science, finding out how much he weighs.
Okay, let's do this. Let's go off of the timeline. Where do we begin on the timeline? And we're going to discuss each point therein.
Okay, so we're actually going to start with the baby era of Mario. So this is starting from the SNES game of Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. If you remember when that game starts, It's literally the stork is flying with Mario and
That's right.
Luigi.
Yep.
Fresh
Hot from the press.
Exactly, fresh off the press. And Baby Bowser sends Kamek to go kidnap the babies. The stork drops them, and the Yoshis find them.
Okay, who's Kamek?
Kamek is
wizard guy.
yeah, it's one of the Koopa wizards. That
Oh,
is
with the-
actually
That one. Yeah.
he's the one that's actually caring for Baby Bowser. Because we don't see Baby Bowser's parents anywhere. He's the only one who's caring for. He's the only one caring for Baby Bowser at the time.
Okay.
This opens up so many questions. Now, we
Go
might
ahead.
get into this in some of the future games, but I was under the impression that Mario and Luigi were from, quote-unquote, the real world, and they get transported to the Mushroom Kingdom.
Isn't that
But it sounds like they
isn't that
started
the movie?
there.
That's the movie? Isn't it?
No, I think it is the games too.
I remember
if
the
I'm
movie
remembering
being like
right.
that.
I hope I'm not corrupted by the Super Mario Super Show.
I think you are, because there's
Oh,
no
no.
way in one of the videos that Austin did.
Get hooked on the
Where-
brothers.
The brothers.
What was that dance that he did doing the Super Mario?
Yes.
Put your
Ben,
right
Ben knows it well.
Take one step and then again. Come on, it's time to go. Do the Mario.
So let's walk, and we're doing the Mario, right?
Yeah.
Sweet. But in that episode, he gets into how Mario can fly, and he looks at one of the biggest iconic hats that allows him to do that, which was the wing hat in Super Mario 64. And it's looked at as, when we look at how platformers work in games, the fall rate at which they fall, if they were falling at normal Earth's rate, which was what was it, 9.8 meters per second,
Sure.
it would be a sluggish game. So Mario's world is actually 2.5 times the gravity of Earth. So he falls. I think
He's a
I got
good
it.
jumper for
I got it here.
how,
well, dude, with 2.5 times the Earth's gravity, those glutes, man, they've got to be packed. They've got to be packed.
Even with all that pasta, I don't know, weighing you down.
So in his world, he actually falls at 26.12 meters per second. So it's kind of, so then we have to calculate all into that, plus then how much, like I said before, when it went into Super Mario Sunshine, how much water was exhausted when he used the rocket to launch into the air. Right,
Oh, okay.
and then
I see what you're.
and then
so where that's
and
going.
then in connection to his body, because now we know how tall he is,
Mm-hmm.
the sphere of the flood, how much water does that hold? Now, how much weight is that? And then how wide is the nozzle that the water comes out? How much water is exhausted as he gets shot up in the air? And then when he does get shot up in the air, how fast is he accelerating going up? All of that taken into account, we can actually find out Mario's weight, which is 89 kilograms, which I failed to calculate that out into pounds.
What do you think?
5 pounds 6 ounces.
Okay.
What does he actually eat, though? I mean, I joked about pasta, but there has to be something else
Pizza.
he eats.
Well, we don't.
Yes, pizza.
And meatballs.
Oh, meatballs.
Well, that's where probably like comics and the movies and stuff come in. What does he eat on that? I don't know. He doesn't eat in the game.
he
The
stays-
games don't have to eat.
He stays
He eats
pretty,
mushrooms.
He stays pretty hefty, so I need to know what his diet is.
And he burns a lot of calories in the
A
mushroom.
lot of
kingdom.
cake.
But- But then one of the
Now it's time for cake.
So let me look it up really quick of the calculation of what that is. 89 kilograms. Thank you, Google, into pounds, and we get he's almost 200 pounds. He's 96.2 pounds.
That makes sense if he's extra strong and very dense. Then
Yeah, and then we also have to take into account atmospheric pressures and how much pressure is being put on the atmosphere, and then how dense the atmosphere is for him to be able to fly. And realistically, and what one of the things that Austin gets into in his video is, if we went to Venus has Earth's gravity, but the gas density of it is 90 times Earth's gravity. If we could actually survive for a second on Venus's planet, or on the planet of Venus, just for the sheer fact that it's so hot, everything is just evaporated, we would actually be able to fly ourselves on our max running speed and jump into the air, stick our arms out inside, we could fly, because of just how the gases are in it. And that's what Austin got into with it, is that the wing hat doesn't necessarily make him fly, he could technically fly on his own. If we look back into Super Mario Brothers 3, when he's able to fly with the Tanuki suit or the raccoon suit or the cape in Super Mario World, the cape or the tail gives him enough surface area to be able to fly, because the hat helps with it with the wings as well. But if you also look at it in 64, the wings are fluttering, which is giving him forward thrust. And that's how the wings itself aren't making him fly, but it's giving him the forward thrust, but his body is acting as the wing, being able to fly through the air.
What you're saying is he's a Super Saiyan, and every now and then he calls the cloud of Nimbus.
No, that's Sonic
from Lakitu.
No, that's Sonic with Super Sonic. So yeah, it gets into a whole thing. Like I said, if you want to look more into it, game theory, the science of how Mario flies, he shows you all of his increments, all his calculations, even the Newtonian rocket formula. I'm saying that wrong. That he uses to calculate it all. And it's just, yeah, I love it. It's great.
Okay, so we're going off of Baby Mario, which is
back to
in the timeline Yoshi's Island, right?
Correct.
That's the first one that technically would be the start of it. Of Mario himself.
Of Mario and Luigi, the ones that we know of.
Was there something prior to that?
Yes, there is, but not
Mario
and Luigi.
Got it. What would be before that then?
So if we want to get into before that, we're talking about the Jumpman era, and if we know it, because Mario and Luigi are plumbers, right? We know them as plumbers. Well, Jumpman Mario was a carpenter.
And what games did he come out in?
And that was in Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr.
Wrecking Crew.
He was in Wrecking Crew. You're right.
Mm.
Yeah.
And they also have a Game and Watch game, where you were going back and forth with Donkey Kong, and you had to juggle the melons and stuff in the air, and sometimes there was fire that he was doing in Donkey Kong's juggling, and he has a frown on his face, and if you failed, Mario or the Jumpman Mario would jump in the air and laugh at him and mock him as a monkey.
But was he a carpenter?
He was a carpenter.
Oh, okay.
Mario was.
Yes. Not Donkey Kong.
But not Mario. Jumpman Mario.
Evil,
specific.
Evil carpenter.
Evil carpenter.
Yep.
Okay, so Evil carpenter.
So when we're going back to Jumpman Mario era, we're going back probably about 40 years, or maybe 32 years ago, because that Donkey Kong in canon grows up, and in Donkey Kong Country, he's Cranky Kong, the old Kong ape that has the beard and all that we see in the beginning, that he's doing his old record player. But apes only have a lifespan of 40 years. So we know in canon that the current Donkey Kong is the grandson to Cranky Kong.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find that out in Donkey Kong Country when the bananas get stolen and all that.
So he's Donkey Kong Jr. But then
Correct.
Donkey Kong Jr. is Donkey Kong Jr.
Sure.
Wait, no.
Let's just use Cranky Kong as the grandpa.
No.
We have Donkey Kong.
Diddy Kong. So Donkey Kong Jr. No, Donkey Kong Jr. is Donkey Kong. I see.
I don't know if Diddy Kong Donkey Kong.
No, I'm thinking of the actual. I was thinking Diddy Kong was Donkey Kong Jr., but I'm thinking of the actual Donkey Kong Jr.
Yeah, the baby.
The second game in the Donkey Kong series. Okay.
And that comes directly after the original Donkey Kong. And we know, and I mean, the torturing, and that gets back into Mario's personality of torturing he captures Donkey Kong after he brutally steps on his hands and makes him fall in the original one and slams his head, captures him, and now is the protagonist in Donkey Kong Jr., where he's cracking the whip and sending birds and electrifying a baby monkey. I mean, come on, who electrifies the baby monkey trying to save his dad? If you look at the sprite's face of Donkey Kong Jr., he's sad. He's scared. It's just like, what's going on with this guy?
Evil carpenter.
I'm telling you, man, this shirt, I told my wife when she bought it, you gave me a murder on my shirt. What is wrong with you?
Did Jumpman actually murder someone?
He was trying to. And if
attempted murder.
And if you really want to get into multiverse theory, every time you die in a game, you're resetting, but in another universe. So yes, technically in that universe, he killed Donkey Kong Jr., and now our next life is in another universe.
I mean, if you look at it that way, then we're all murderers as a player.
Yeah, technically.
It's going a lot deeper than I thought.
I warned you. This thing gets deep, and we're just starting with just the first 2 games.
Okay, so that would encompass what you just said with Baby Mario, Yoshi's Island, and before that Donkey Kong Jr. and Donkey Kong with Jumpman. So take us there now. Now we're with Baby Mario.
Well,
and
just to give a little bit of a clarification with that too, the person who you're saving in those games is Paulina, and we see that in one of the games of I think it was Mario Golf. Mario is cutting the ribbon and opening up a shop or the course, and he has Mario's special guest, which is a woman in a red dress.
Mario Golf 4.
Devil in a red dress.
I think that might have been GameCube.
Okay.
And in that one, it's a woman in a red dress, and that's Paulina, because if you look at it in Donkey Kong, he's eye level to the waist of her, and in that game, she's towering over Mario. He's at like waist level with her, which means she's gigantic.
So let me jump on something here.
Speaking of
Jumpman.
Yes.
Is smaller Mario his normal form, or is that an abnormality?
No, I think that's his normal form.
That's his normal form. When he eats the mushroom, that would be the abnormality. He's mutated, right? Do they consider it a mutation? Magical?
It's not called Mutant Mario Brothers.
Hey,
that's something that wasn't discussed in it. When they were going back with the original games, it was only his smaller form that they were considering.
Okay.
Because then if they didn't, then he would be 3 feet, and then he would have to. But then in the newer games, he never eats a super mushroom and grows even bigger, unless you get into the new Super Mario for the Wii and Wii U, in which case he becomes
3DS.
Gigantic and he crushes everything.
Yeah.
But then again,
Mega.
That's
right?
like Mega Super Mario.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then again, he's wah and woohooing as he's stomping and destroying things, which means no remorse for his killing.
Yeah, he's pretty jolly when he does it. Okay, so
now we can go back to
yeah.
We have Baby Mario and Luigi with Yoshi's Island, Yoshi's Island 2. So at the end of Yoshi's Island, spoiler alert if you haven't played it yet, but shame on you, it's on the SNES. So come on now.
Shame on you.
You had your time. Plenty of time.
They're delivered to the wrong parents. So now it's Yoshi. So now Yoshi needs to take them and find them the correct parents. And so at the end of Yoshi's new island, they're delivered to the right parents.
And Mario's reaction to all this, you think, would be?
Wahoo!
I think more like wah.
Oh God!
Enough of that.
I think I have PTSD.
That was a pretty good soundbite for its time. Sounded like a real baby.
Yeah, it was. That's for sure.
Okay.
So our next one goes into Mario and Luigi Partners in Time. So we're realistically right in the beginning of this timeline. Nintendo goes, hey, time travel. Have fun with it. So because that is still the babies, and that's the next iteration of where we see the babies. And then it gets into Yoshi's Island DS. And that is where Bowser... so in Partners in Time... we see Bowser travel back in time, but Bowser and Baby Bowser never have any interactions with each other. So in Yoshi's Island DS is when Bowser travels back in time again, but intervenes with Mario and Luigi in defeating Baby Bowser, and that's where they meet for the first time, Bowser and Baby Bowser. Which then leads to the question that in lineage, Baby Bowser is literally Baby Bowser. He's not the child, or Bowser Jr. is not Bowser's child. It's Bowser from the past, and he's bringing him back to the present.
Okay.
So it's himself.
Back up there.
Whoa.
Back up there. So, explain that again.
So Baby Bowser is Bowser Jr.
Okay.
Huh.
Bowser Jr. is not Bowser's child, but Bowser from the past.
Bowser from the past.
Being brought to the present.
Okay.
To be taken care of by himself.
But I can see where that would make confusion because
And you have the Koopalings.
People would think that would be Bowser's kid, but it's not. It's actually him.
It's actually him.
From the past.
Because if you think about it, he doesn't, back then in Yoshi's Island, he's being raised by Kamek. Mm-hmm. He has no parents. He's an orphan.
So this particular game then opens up the way now suddenly, very early on in the timeline, time travel. And
Absolutely.
This is how everything happens from here on as to why there's a Bowser Jr. Where was the...
where all the babies
come from. Okay.
Yep. So Bowser travels back in time, helps baby Bowser, but that's the end of the baby era that we have is those 4 games. So now we go into what we consider now the adult era. And that one starts with the NES game of Mario Brothers.
Okay.
The original one.
The original one with Mario and Luigi.
Which actually started in the arcade.
Right, where there, and this is the one where it's the pipes on top, pipes on bottom, and you're jumping and you're, so...
That one.
Yep, that one. And that one is where we see that they're still plumbers. They're plumbers in the sewer. They're clearing it out or doing whatever
still
plumbers
in their
do.
original form. No mushrooms yet. No larger Mario or Luigi's yet.
Correct.
Yep.
Just power blocks.
Yep.
And then in Super Mario Brothers as well, they're still considered plumbers. So after the NES of Mario Brothers, then we go into the next game, which is Super Mario Brothers, where they're still plumbers.
Right.
So that's how we know those are the beginnings of the adult era. Okay, so we have the Mario 2 Lost Levels. That's not necessarily the next... There's nothing in that game that really specifies it as any part of canon, so we just consider...
It was filler,
It's
wasn't
just
it?
Super Mario Brothers 1 some more.
Yeah, it was a map...
Extended
It
map.
continues.
It was a map pack for basically Super Mario Brothers is what it is.
Okay. There was no story.
There's
Like the same
no,
thing
there
again,
was no
right?
story. Yeah, it was just a reiteration of it.
And that was Famicom...
Disc system,
Japan.
I think.
Yeah. In Japan
I
released.
think it was disc system.
I mean, really, if you want to think about it, it's basically what they did with the Super Luigi U. Remember how they did Super Mario U, and then they brought out Luigi for the 30th anniversary. They just kind of changed some things. It's basically what Lost Levels was.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So then the next one we go down to is Super Mario Brothers 3. And in that one, in the manual to the game, this is where we see the first of the Koopalings. And that's given in the manual where Wendy Koopa was actually saying, quoting, and I'm quoting from the manual, "This is the first time I've met up with Mario. I'm studying his moves carefully." Literally in the manual, we have a speech bubble with her saying that. So this is the first time we're seeing the Koopalings in the games.
You remind me who were the Koopalings again?
I don't remember all the Koopalings' names. I only know of Wendy O. Koopa. Because that was the one who was saying it.
kind of picture him,
She's
but
the
I
one
can't-
with the hair.
Oh, there's like
The hair-
Mozart or
And she also has the really long rings, bracelets and stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
that's her.
Okay.
I think it was like Mozart was one, or Amadeus or something like
Yeah,
that.
there was another one.
Yeah.
Ludwig.
Ludwig, there it is.
Ludwig.
Yeah, Ludwig. I remember that one. Yeah. But there's like, what was it, 8 of them?
Something like that.
Something. So yeah, it's and that has its own story too. We can get into Bowser's background and what drives him. There's a whole thing there too. Thank you, Matt Pat, for overthinking video games. So then our next one is Super Mario World, and we have that for the SNES, and we have that in the first page of the manual. It states, "After saving the Mushroom Kingdom from Bowser and the rest of the Koopas in Super Mario 3." Literally says it's happening directly after that. Mario and Luigi want a vacation, so they try to go away for a little bit, but then something happens and they're wrapped up in another adventure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in Japan it was called Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers
Super
4.
Mario World.
I don't think it was called World yet,
Oh, okay.
to my knowledge. In Japan.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong, but
Or it might have been what they called it at first, but then released it as Super
yeah,
Mario World.
Yeah, it might have been that. So it doesn't surprise me it would be a direct sequel. We just see I don't know if you want to call it a generation gap, but the whole scheme of things changed with new graphics. So it was like, wow, huge difference, even though it was just a direct sequel.
Right.
But it is nice for the manual to actually mention it rather
Yeah.
than have people speculate on it.
Yeah, and that's
back
where a
when
lot
people actually read manuals and back when they actually
When
made
they
manuals.
actually had them.
Had manuals, yeah.
They were nice to be able to have because they gave a lot of because there wasn't a lot of dialogue and story in games. They actually gave some of the history of the different characters in it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then like this one, it actually puts it in a canon of saying it's directly after Super Mario Brothers 3 comes Super Mario World.
And there was cannons in Super Mario Brothers 3, so that makes sense.
That makes perfect
Yeah.
sense.
Yep.
Perfect
Goes
sense.
right along with it. So our next one, what do you think the next one is? No,
The next one is Super Mario's Wacky Worlds
Wacky Worlds, huh?
for the CDI. direct sequel to Super Mario World, unreleased.
I'm sorry, that says it was canceled.
It was canceled, unreleased, but some people do have a copy of it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and it actually, it has them in Greece.
Oh my goodness.
They actually made a game. I was just reading about it. I didn't know it existed until just now. So that technically was going to be a direct sequel.
What was it going to be released on?
CDI.
CDI.
Yeah, Philips made a deal with Nintendo. They were going to make the CD-ROM attachment. That was before the PlayStation CD attachment for the Super Nintendo.
Gotcha.
You'll notice too correct me if I'm wrong, but at the bottom of the system there was that plug-in for it, like it was planned.
Expansion port. Yeah.
Expansion port. There was something there, as well as the NES. I remember there being something at the bottom of it. I could show you, but I don't want to dig it out right now. But
I feel like Nintendo does that with all their systems.
It's like
they only release the stuff in Japan, and Americans
no,
are sitting there going, "What's this port for?"
No, they all do that. If you think the Mega Drive and Genesis had a port in the back, and the TurboGrafx had a port. They all have ports. Like at least the old systems do, because they're always trying to plan ahead, and a lot of times those things just don't get used.
Yeah, or it seems like they do get used, but it never gets released out here, which is
it might be used in Japan, but not here.
They get better stuff than we do.
Well, they always do.
Period.
So getting back to Kyle's question though, the next game. I know Ben was joking about it before. Is it Mario is Missing?
Or Mario? No, it's Mario's Hotel for CDI.
Or what about that the teaching game that Mario Brothers teaching game?
No, it was Mario's Hotel, or Hotel Mario rather, for CDI. That was directly after Super
That's
Mario.
real.
That's real. That came out for the CDI.
Wow.
1994.
And to be clear, I
even mentions the Koopalings. Wow.
I misspoke. The CDI is what they ended up making instead of the CD-ROM for the Super Nintendo.
Gotcha.
Same with like with Sony. They eventually actually released a system proper. Anyways,
I don't know where Mario is Missing has come from. It wasn't actually in what Matt Pat was actually showing.
and Mario in Time, whatever.
That would
No,
just,
that's actually in
that
it.
would just mess up all the timeline there.
So the next one would be the Super Mario 64 for the Nintendo 64.
And that took place right after Mario World.
Yeah, that takes place. I don't know if it's right after, but it does take place after.
So it just
Mario
takes place
World.
after that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. They're lounging around. Princess Peach goes, "Hey, I made you a cake. Come over here and eat some." And Mario goes, "Okay," and jumps into his pipe. And then
I'm gonna burn the calories.
Yeah.
I can afford it.
he's burning the calories trying to run to it.
Yeah.
So then, in the other form of it, in Super Mario 64 DS, we actually get the threat from King Boo that he's going to put Mario in a painting. Mario was invited to Peach's castle for cake, and Bowser kidnaps her. And so Mario's going through the castle, going into the different paintings, and each painting is the different world, and then he rescues Peach. But in one of the things that King Boo, when Mario confronts King Boo, and I'm not sure if it's in in the 64 in the Nintendo 64 version or if it's in the DS version because it was remade on the DS. King Boo threatens to put Mario in a painting. He uses that as, and
And how would he go about doing that? Because I don't remember this.
Science.
well, there's a whole thing into
Plenty
it.
of science.
Well, we've never played because of that threat. This puts it before Luigi's Mansion. So we know that Super Mario 64 DS or Super Mario 64 takes place before Luigi's Mansion because of that threat from King Boo. And now we go into Luigi's Mansion where Mario goes into the mansion and gets turned into a painting. And that's basically what Luigi's mission is on there. And we get the introduction of Professor Egad. Who is...
Egads!
Yeah, he's the one who gives Luigi the Poltergust 3000.
Poltergust.
Yeah, gotta love their names. It's that vacuum device that Luigi goes around, and the only way to save Mario is to attack the ghosts that are in there and suck them into that thing, because the professor has a device that changes them into paintings.
Okay. Interesting.
Science.
Science. At its
Well,
finest.
All
also-
hail science.
That also gets into a whole other thing of Egad playing both sides of the field with things, because of just it gets into a whole thing even in Super Mario Sunshine. I'll get into that in a bit.
Okay, so next one on the timeline then.
So he gives him that. Mario is trapped in the painting. At the end of the game, Mario's released from the painting. Everybody is all happy. But now Mario and Peach are wanting to go on a vacation, and they're invited to the to Delfino Island.
Delfino Island, yeah.
And then it just so happens that there's this fake Mario running around with this paintbrush, making this magic paintbrush, making that can bring things to life. And just so happens that there's the flood that's right there on the runway, saying from Professor Egad that they purchased this from him. So all of this happens because of the introduction of Egad in Luigi's Mansion. And then after that comes Sunshine, where the flood is now saying Egad. And then if we look on... But here's the interesting thing in Sunshine. Let me know what you guys think about this.
That is interesting.
It's found on the runway. So obviously they knew Mario was coming. Because when he was scanning Mario, on the bottom left... Or when he was scanning Mario, he already knows of Mario's adventures. When they're doing the scanning, on the bottom left side of the screen, it actually has events that happened in Super Mario Brothers, a shot of what happened in Super Mario World, and it also has a scene from when Mario was spinning Bowser around when he was holding him from the tail in 64. So the flood already had all of this information about Mario when they landed and registered to Mario. So he knows who he is. Now, the fake Mario that's running around, if you remember who that was, do you guys remember who that was?
Crash Bandicoot.
It was an android?
It was Gex.
No, it wasn't an android. No, not
Pretty sure it was
Jackson.
Lara Croft.
I can't say I remember now.
No idea.
No.
I didn't.
So I went through it, but that was back in, 02?
I didn't go
Yeah, it
through
was a while ago.
I don't remember it that
So,
well.
again, spoiler alerts if you haven't played it. Again, shame on you. It was on the GameCube. It's already been out.
You're talking about Sunshine, right?
Yes, Super
Yeah.
Mario
I
Sunshine.
never played through it.
It was Baby Bowser that was running around with it.
Okay, I remember now. Yeah.
And when was asked how he got his tool, he said a guy in a white coat gave it to him.
What, Doc Brown? From the
Exactly.
future?
Dr. Wowie?
Sorry, I lost it there. And then the flood even goes a professor or a guy in a white coat and is thinking about who it might be because Professor Egad is a professor in a white coat. So not only is he supplying bad guys with these
drugs.
tools and just giving them these
Drugs.
tools, yes, the drugs too, to go crazy.
Yeah.
He's making the good guys purchase the drugs or the tools that they are needing to clean up the mess that he's supplying the enemies with.
Business of war. Supplying both sides.
So who's the bad guy in Super Mario? In the world of Super Mario? Is it Bowser?
He
Man,
can be a bad guy, but doesn't mean he's the bad guy.
I've never
Exactly.
seen it this way. I'm actually really blown right now.
There's a whole other thing going into it where in Mario Party 7 there's 2 items in that game that have the little icon of Professor Egad that we even see on the flood and also on the paintbrush. If you remember the paintbrush, it was the long part, and then it had a little circle there, and then it was the brush. On that circle is Professor Egad's icon.
No kidding.
And then in these items in Mario Party 7, the only people that could use those items was Wario and Waluigi. No other item on that game for the good guys was from Egad. It was only for the bad guys.
And we've only seen Egad in which games?
Right now, he's only been introduced in Luigi's Mansion.
That was the only one he's actually technically been in.
Like, scene.
Well,
Scene.
in this timeline that I'm going through right now, as of right now, the only time that we've seen him is in Luigi's Mansion.
Gotcha.
Is there a second one?
Yeah, he's in more later on.
Oh, okay.
That's why we know Luigi's Mansion, he gets placed in that part of the timeline, because nowhere else before that do we see anything to do with the professor. But then when Sunshine happens, we're having the flood and that paintbrush. But we also see on the bottom left, like I said before, we see events from Super Mario 64 happening. So it has to come after 64. and after Luigi's Mansion, because that's when he was introduced.
Makes sense.
It all has its
Yeah.
plug-in places. That's why when we don't really know too much about 64, well, we can see by other games down the line why it would have to be put up higher on the list of what happened before. So then we go into one of my personal favorite games on the SNES, Super Mario RPG. And on that one, we see the birth of Birdo.
Okay.
You remember that? And that's why the Super Mario Brothers 2 that was out here in the US
USA version. Yeah.
wouldn't be canon because Birdo was in there.
Got it.
Time travel, my friend.
Paradox.
Remember, it was all a dream.
So
it
that
didn't
one
really
would be a
happen.
dream technically if you want to get
It
into
was
it.
all a
Yeah.
dream.
Or if we go off of Ben's theory, there's just lots of drugs. So
Well, that could be pretty druggy because if you think about it, who is Birdo? Do you guys remember what Birdo eventually becomes?
no.
Hishi?
Exactly.
Hishi.
According to the manual. You know.
Well, okay, let me just say this. Who's the love interest of Birdo?
Oh, Yoshi.
And how old is Yoshi? The Yoshis deliver baby Mario and Luigi to their parents. So the Yoshis are an older species. And Birdo's a brand new baby. Kind of creepy.
That is weird.
unless it's
That's
it's a newborn Yoshi. But then again, Yoshi has kind of been a consistent thing in Mario, so that green Yoshi has always been the same Yoshi, technically. So
the Animal Kingdom is all weird anyways.
kind of
Yeah.
weird.
Although I do call that into question, though, in Super Mario World, because if I drop Yoshi into a pool of lava, I hit another block, which happens to be a person also, and a Yoshi egg pops out, and a baby Yoshi is there, and I feed him enough to grow into a full-grown adult, it is a different Yoshi.
Huzzah.
So the question
Technically.
is that green Yoshi really the same Yoshi from all the games?
And it's not easy being green, so.
That too.
That's a good question.
Well, I mean, it's an egg every time that hatches, so that tells
Yep.
me no.
It's an egg from the future.
I would think
from
that's.
the past.
I would think that's no. I think it's a new Yoshi every time.
Yeah.
So it's. But why are they all called Yoshi?
Yeah, because they're blue Yoshi. Well, then we can get into why are they all called Toad, because there's blue Toads and yellow Toads and...
Pikachu.
Could it be
They're
that
all
they're
called
alternate
Clones.
Yoshis or clones?
That's where we get into the multiverse, or the multi-worlds.
They're clones from the future that.
I thought they were just the same species. You know, just like in the Pokemon games. Unless you name your Pokemon something unique,
They're from the same
it
subgroup.
only goes by the
Yeah.
name of its species.
And then the only way you identify is by calling their color. So, no, I'm not going to go into there. So, our next one goes into a Game Boy Advance game called Mario and Luigi, and this kind of starts the Mario and Luigi saga a little bit. It's not technically a new era, it's just a set of games that is for a lot of the handhelds, even on the DS. So we have Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga.
That was that one was Game Boy Advance.
That one,
GBA,
yes, that
and
one
then
was Game
there's
Boy
a
Advance.
re-release for the 3DS.
Okay.
A remake. I just picked it up. Actually.
Remake or re-release?
It's built like there's more.
Oh, okay.
It's Mario and Luigi. Some more.
Some more. Part 2.
And so we know this one falls into this place of the timeline because we have Birdo in it. We also have Professor Gad in it. And Luigi even has his Poltergeist 3000 in it as well. We see him pull that out. Because I think something happens with Gad in it, and Luigi starts to suck him up or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'd never played this one. But we also get an introduction into a new enemy that starts to reoccur in the Mario series. His name is Fawful.
Falafel?
Falafel. He's awful, but with an F. So
Got
he's
it.
Fawful.
Falafel. I don't even know who.
I don't even know
what it looks like.
these are more into
I'm gonna have to look this up.
He's in the main of Mario and Luigi games. Yeah, look him up as I'll continue on with this. So I know I've already discussed this one
Ugh.
in the baby era.
He's hideous.
Yeah, he's a little weirdo.
Ooh.
That looks like a.
That looks like drugs.
If you
right
guys
there.
don't know who
He's all
Falafel
beard.
is, please look him up, and you're gonna be really
He's all beard.
shocked.
Like I said, he's awful, but with an F. He's Fawful.
His legs don't go all the way up, just to the beard.
And he's got no arms. He's legitimately armless.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he comes
That's
from.
all beard.
I'm not sure where he comes
No
from or
organs,
what his
no
story
bones.
is, but he's just an introduction to it.
Okay.
So I know again, I've already talked about this one in the baby era, but then we're talking about partners in time. So Mario and Luigi, adults, actually go back in time with their babies and they team up with the baby versions of themselves. And we know this happens, and this is kind of where we start seeing a pattern in the Mario games where they start to talk about events that happened in the game before it. So that's why this one's kind of weird, but we know this one happens with Partners in Time. We know it falls here with the adults because Fawful starts to talk about the events that happened in Superstar Saga. So
Okay.
the adult Mario and Luigi would have already had to go through that adventure to be able to have those events being told in Partners in Time.
And I'm sorry if I missed it, but Partners in Time, Superstar Saga, which comes first in the timeline?
Superstar Saga
Superstar Saga comes first.
In
then
the-
Partners in Time.
and then Partners in Time, correct. For the adult era. So the
Right.
baby era, there's a version it's where the baby where that is in the baby line.
Yeah.
Then where it is in the adult line, and then the time
kinda
travel
like,
happens.
Yeah, that's kind of like the X-Men timeline with the movies, because you have, the initial ones where they're older, they get old, and then the reboot kind of was them younger, and then the time travel happened where it's like, it met at two different times for each saga.
And then it got even more complicated when Fox was bought out. But anyways.
Whenever they introduce time travel into things, everything gets so convoluted that it's
Right.
just you kind of have to look for the different
It
things.
can be done. It's a lot for the writers. That's a lot to
Right.
Yeah,
keep in
seriously,
mind.
Ray Scott.
Right. So that's why it's interesting of how we're able to place this game in two separate eras in the timeline, because we're tracking the time the pattern or the life of both the babies and the adults to then intersect in it.
And this is the first game they
with
actually
Fawful.
meet, right? They all meet together
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah, well, yeah, the adults and the babies team
yeah.
up with each other, so they're
Right.
kind of like the Yoshi. The adults are like the Yoshis. They're carrying around the kids and stuff like that. Kind of weird that they're carrying themselves around.
Yeah, that's a little
But
weird.
they also had Fawful in it, and he was discussing what happened in Superstar Saga.
Okay.
So then, the next one there is Mario and Luigi, Bowser's Inside Story. So these are all DS games.
Yeah, I remember this.
And we know this one happens there because it talks about what happened in
Super Saga.
Superstar Saga.
It's gonna happen a lot, I think.
Super Duck.
It's all
Mario.
blah blah blah, and also what happens with Partner in Time, going with that and Fawful and stuff. And then we also have Mario and Luigi Dream Team. They discuss what happens in Bowser's Inside Story. And then we have the next one for Luigi's Mansion is the Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon for the DS. We know this one happens here because this is when Gad upgrades the Poltergust to the Poltergust 5000. So he skipped the 4 and went right to 5.
Look at that.
1,000.
Don't know why that happened, but that's
Could that have anything to do with the timeline? That he had that much time to develop?
there might be a game in between there. There might be.
There could be significance to the fact that it's 5,000.
There could be. We just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
So that ends the adult era,
Okay.
and we go into the.
Now, when you say ends,
Wait
it's
a
not
minute.
like the final story, but that's just as of what we have seen so far. That's it.
right that of the story that we have of right now
Okay.
in a timeline procession, that's where we end the adult era.
Anything to say how old Mario and Luigi, first of all, are when they're introduced in their adult era, and then where they're at in this particular story?
No, I'm not quite sure where they fall in line with that. But what's weird is they can't be too much older if baby Donkey Kong and baby Mario are like they're babies together.
Yeah.
When an ape reaches that maturity, when they're full grown, they're full grown at like 8 or 9, but then they can last into their 40s. So in between that time frame is where they could be, but realistically, they could really only be like maybe in their 20s.
Okay.
I would think, until we start seeing some aging in Donkey Kong,
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
because then we also have Diddy Kong and Dixie and all the other Kongs that are in that
Right.
too. So that's kind of how we identify age is with the apes and how they progress.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Because if you think about it, and what we were talking about before with Cranky Kong, he's older, so he's got to be at the end of the 40 age. They can have babies when they're 8 years old, which would be why this is the grandson of it, and how everybody. So we have no ages because of Cranky, which is kind of weird.
Yep.
So that was the end of the adult era, but then we get into a weird era called the Super Mario Brothers era. And that one starts with the new Super Mario Brothers and Mario Brothers 2. Yeah. No, these are for the 3DS. The new Super Mario Brothers and the new Super Mario Brothers 2.
Did that come in before the release for the Wii?
Mm-hmm. I believe so.
Yeah, I believe it did.
And I don't mean release, I mean timeline?
In timeline-wise, yeah, it does.
Got it, okay.
Because with those ones, it's just Mario and Luigi.
Mm-hmm.
When we go down into the new Super Mario Brothers Wii and Wii U, those ones introduce a blue and yellow toad that allow you to have the 4-player action. Mm-hmm. Now, creative on Nintendo's part, their names of the toads are Blue Toad and Yellow Toad.
That's so genius.
They are rocking it.
How do they do it?
Good old Bluey.
So, this is where it gets fun. So we have the next one in our timeline, which is Super Mario Galaxy. This one introduces Rosalina. Now, we could really get into it, but...
So, I say we do this. This is a really huge subject that we're talking about. Huge timeline. I think that there's more to dive in with this. We may have to make this into a multi-part podcast, maybe revisit at a different time, because I'm thinking the more in depth we're going to go into, the more questions we're going to have, and then we're going to question literally everything. So seeing that is the case where we have a lot to talk about, what do you see on the horizon already that you've made notes of, Kyle, that is still left to talk about? That way we can dive deeper when we have more time.
Well, and we have the next one would be Super Mario Galaxy, and like I said, that introduces Rosalina, and then we could get into the lineage of Rosalina and who she relates to in the games.
There's a lot there.
And that's a lot there, and that'll probably flip people's heads on the series, because it really disrupts a thing that everybody thinks is like unshakable.
Yeah.
It kind of rocked my world
when
I saw
it.
So
there's a lot more into question when this happens. We haven't even gotten to the meat of it, guys. Like, there's a lot more to do here.
And there's more in Rosalina's story that equates to or gives evidence to that. And I'll just give this little tidbit right here. Peach is Rosalina's mom. But if you remember in the storybook in Galaxy, Rosalina's mom is dead. And not just falling into the pit, game over type of dead. I mean, she's buried underneath a tree dead. And she has a specific place where she is. They tell you where she is.
Okay, so there's going to be a lot more to talk about there.
Yeah, there's a lot into it, and I got a couple more games left into it, but I could get into that another time.
And really quick, Paper Mario World is that's an alternate universe, and they do meet up.
Okay, good to know.
In Paper Jam, Mario and Luigi. Anyways,
this is it lends to believe that Nintendo knows where they were going with it, or at least. Maybe as they were releasing games, they were able to release other games that were able to connect things. Maybe maybe it wasn't intentional in the beginning, but then they were able to connect it somehow. But
connect the missing Marios.
Yeah.
Well, just from what it seems so far, I mean, originally it was just a series of games,
right?
And while there may have been some vague connections between them, it doesn't sound like until after, I would say maybe the Nintendo 64 era, moving forward, that they decided, you know what, the Mario series is going to keep going, let's maybe flesh this out a bit more, and then they start including more of the story in here.
Well, I'm going to drop this little question for you, and we can answer this next time when we bring this back up. In the original Game Boy games of Super Mario Land, who was he rescuing at the end of that? Where was he?
I forget the name of it.
I'll give you the name of it. It was wow, I have this written down. I still can't even pronounce it. Sorta.
Sriracha Land?
No, it's not Sriracha.
I forget.
Sarasa?
Something like that.
Sarasa Land?
That's where he is in Mario
Sriracha
Land.
In Mario Land, yeah.
Okay.
It's the desert. It's a desert realm.
With aliens.
Yes, there were aliens in that one. But who was he saving in that one?
No idea. I played
forget.
through
Because
it.
I haven't brought this up in the timeline yet. He was rescuing Daisy.
That's right. He was.
How does Daisy work into all this? Why is Mario going after Daisy? Huh?
All right. Well, this is definitely up for more.
Oh yeah.
You mean Jesse's daughter? Daisy? Daisy Duke?
No, it was Jesse's girl. No. Copyright.
Well, this was definitely in depth. Hopefully, your guys' brains aren't hurting too much. But
I threw a lot at you.
thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you, Kyle, for getting all that info. And I remember we talked about it before a little bit, and it definitely was very, very in depth to the point where I knew we had to do a multi-part to this. There's so much.
Yeah.
And still can't ever mention enough about Super Mario Brothers 2, my favorite, the entire USA. My favorite Super Mario game ever.
Let's
and they've never done anything
let's
else
go
with
off
it.
of that. Yeah, I wanted to do that. I have here that I wanted to talk about just to end it. What our most favorite Mario games are. So we have Mario Brothers 2 USA for you,
No, Mario in Time. Yeah, Mario 2. USA.
and tell us in short why you like it so much.
It was, I mean, the graphics obviously and everything were better, and I love the music. I mean, some of it's nostalgia, I'm sure, but being able to pick up the mushrooms and like pick up anything and like throw them around and just all the characters,
the magic potions, and going into alternate doors.
Yeah, and the different abilities for the the 4 characters.
That's the only Mario game that has turnips, right?
Uh,
You dig out carrots and turnips.
No,
They probably
Smash
have.
Brothers has it. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
But that goes into mine too. I'm a fan of Super Mario RPG, but there are features in 2 that became canon, the American version that became canon of powers of like Peach, where she was able to float and pull
floating,
turnips and
yeah.
stuff.
or Luigi jumping higher.
Yeah, so even though it's not technically canon per se in a timeline,
They acknowledge those certain things to keep going,
and they gave them the properties later in characters. So,
Shy Guys. And all
yeah,
that.
so I like a different game. I like Mario RPG I like Super Mario RPG for the way that they played the game, the way that they were able to make the and what seemed like enemies put their differences aside, work together, and get back the Mushroom Kingdom, and just the RPG element in itself was just awesome.
That is the only one, to my knowledge, right? That is an actual role-playing game
Yeah.
of Mario. Was Paper Mario like that?
I don't know so much the Paper Marios, but the Mario and Luigi games are very similar.
Were they turn-based like that too?
Yeah, turn-based.
Okay.
And
really?
use similar controls.
Okay.
Yeah, jumping on you get into a turn-based type battle, and then you have to push the button to attack and jump on the enemy. You jump multiple times.
Yeah, I never
and-
played them, so I'll have to look into those.
Yeah, I just got all of them on DS and 3DS.
Josh, what's your favorite?
I haven't had a chance to play Super Mario RPG. I know you guys have been pushing me to get it. I haven't done that yet. Need to do that before I, can't.
Get out.
So
Get out.
I don't know if this really counts, but I do love the Super Mario Maker. I do
yeah, that
love
counts.
the
Yeah.
variety of the levels.
where does that fall in canon?
His own.
But if I had to choose one from canon, I would definitely say Super Mario World. It is a little bit of the basis for a lot of what the maps you'll see in Super Mario Maker.
Mm-hmm.
You get the Yoshis, you have the cape, you have all these new abilities. Some similar to what we saw in Super Mario 3, but I think Super Mario World did it a little bit better.
Well, I hate to not be different, but yeah, my favorite personally is a Super Mario World game as well. The music, the polished up graphics going off of Mario 1, 2, and 3. Yoshi was like the greatest thing ever when you had that introduced. It was one extra way to avoid death because you had him, to jump off of it, and the fact you could fly with a cape was really cool as a kid. Seeing that, unlike the raccoon tail.
Tanuki tail.
I think that one's
Raccoon
my favorite.
dog.
Thank you, PETA.
PETA?
Oh, PETA had an issue with the Tanuki suit because
People eating tasty animals. Yeah.
it was
PETA?
Eat
The-
a pita.
Yeah, PETA bread.
the animal activist.
People eating tasty animals.
I'm sorry,
PETA.
I was thinking of a pita bread.
We just had that for dinner.
PETA, got it.
Yeah, they had a huge issue with the Tanuki suit.
Wait,
and Mario.
PETA has an issue? No.
Yeah.
No way.
No, not at all.
They have issues with furries, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's how they, stay as popular as they are. So. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming out. And did you guys have a good time tonight?
Oh yeah, this timeline is.
Yeah.
So much to it.
So that's going to wrap things up for us tonight. If you'd like to do the internets, you can drop us a line on Instagram at retro_game night. If you do the Twitter, at retrogame-night1. If you like the emails, retrogamenight@hotmail.com. Give us your comments, your questions. We would love to hear from you. Till next time, stay nutritious, people.